Ready for another deep dive? This time, it's Isaac Asimov's Foundation series.
Oh, a classic.
Yeah, and I think it's especially relevant today, with all the talk about AI and predicting the future.
Hmm, interesting. You've got excerpts from Asimov's own notes on the series, right? Plus, those pivotal scenes you mentioned really makes you think about, well, hidden knowledge, for one.
Definitely. And how those unseen forces shape us,
Yeah.
humanity's destiny, that sort of thing.
Yeah, Asimov really gets you thinking about those big questions. What's fascinating to me is how he sets up this foundation, like a beacon of hope, right, amidst a declining galactic empire. But then there's immediate conflict.
Right away. Yeah. It's like he's saying, even with the best intentions, power dynamics always mess things up.
Human nature, too. It's kind of a wrench in the works.
And that conflict between the traders with their advanced technology
Right.
and the Foundation's rule and class, it's a perfect example.
Exactly. They're supposed to be building a new future, but they're falling into the same traps as the old empire.
The very one they're meant to replace.
It's like that cyclical view of history, trying to break the pattern, but those issues of power control inequality.
Always resurfacing.
Asimov was really smart about that, exploring human fallibility, even in a society that's supposed to be different.
Okay, so then we have Bill Rios, this brilliant general from the dying empire, almost seems blind to the Foundation's strengths. Why do you think he underestimates them so badly?
Well, there's definitely some arrogance there. Rios is a product of that system. One that's grown complacent, outdated tactics, crumbling infrastructure.
He doesn't see them as a real threat, does he?
No, he sees the Foundation as a minor annoyance. And that's his downfall.
His story really highlights that point about the empire decaying from within, but then just when you think you've got the power dynamics figured out, Asimov throws in the Mule.
Talk about unpredictable.
Right.
The Mule is like a masterclass in disruption.
For our listeners, imagine trying to predict the future.
Based on these large-scale social trends.
Which is basically psychohistory.
Yeah.
But the Mule, with his emotional manipulation, he throws all those calculations out.
Totally different level.
And that's what makes him so unsettling.
Right. His origins are mysterious, motives unclear, and his methods.
Chilling.
Yeah, he doesn't just conquer territories, he conquers minds.
Speaking of mysteries, there's a lot of hidden knowledge floating around Dusambar, for example, with his cryptic references to those ancient magicians.
From Siwena's past.
Almost like Asimov is hinting at forces beyond what the Foundation can grasp.
And then there's Lathan Devers, the trader who boasts about those ancient secrets transmutation, a power source that's supposed to be even stronger than nuclear energy.
Wow, makes you wonder.
Right. Are there layers of power and knowledge that even Selden's psychohistory couldn't predict?
And we can't forget Ebling Miss.
The psychologist?
Digging into the time vault. Imagine a time capsule.
With Selden's messages and predictions.
Miss is trying to solve this puzzle by looking at the pieces that Selden left behind.
He represents a different kind of power, not military or political, but the power of understanding the human mind.
But can knowledge alone defeat someone like the Mule? He's not just a conqueror, he's a manipulator. He preys on people's doubts and fears.
And even those who oppose him, like Captain Han Pritcher, they can be swayed by that emotional influence.
Pritcher's transformation is scary, makes you question loyalty and resistance. And amidst all this chaos, the search for the Second Foundation is on.
Another piece of Selden's plan shrouded in even more mystery than the first.
It's like a failsafe.
A backup plan. For when psychohistory fails, the question is, will it be enough to counter the Mule's chaos?
The protagonists are venturing into some dangerous parts of the galaxy, the remnants of the Empire on Neotrantor.
The ruins of Trantor itself.
Their journey speaks volumes about the vastness of Asimov's universe and their desperation.
And then there's Magnifico Giganticus, the clown who's anything but ordinary.
Magnifico, on a surface, he seems harmless, even comical.
But he's connected to the Foundation's underground.
He knows about the Mule.
And there are hints of a hidden power, a power that maybe even he doesn't fully grasp.
He fears mental probes.
And can cause death without even touching anyone.
It's like Asimov is giving us this puzzle. Could Magnifico be a key to understanding the Mule?
Or even an agent of the Second Foundation.
He embodies that unpredictable nature of Asimov's universe.
You know what I love? Even with all these setbacks, the Foundation and its allies aren't giving up.
The resilient.
Constantly adapting. Always searching for a way to fight back.
Speaks to that enduring human spirit, that refusal to accept defeat, even when the odds are stacked against you.
This is where our deep dive starts to get really interesting.
Yeah.
Because understanding the Mule means going beyond the surface.
Delving into those shadowy motivations,
Yeah.
the unseen forces that drive him. You know what's really intriguing about the Mule? He's this anomaly, a break from the norm. Not just a conqueror like we've seen before. He's this manipulator, a master of emotions, that sets him apart from every other power figure in the Foundation.
He's almost like a force of nature, unpredictable, uncontrollable.
Hmm.
And it's baffling how he can conquer the Foundation, a society built on logic and reason, so easily. But then he struggles against those independent traders. Exactly. Which suggests his power has limits. Maybe his emotional manipulation, it doesn't work so well against those who are more logical, more pragmatic. Or maybe the traders have figured out a way to counter him. They were able to counter his extinguishing field technology. It shows how resourceful they are.
Remember that scene where Rios is examining that captured trader ship? He's so frustrated his technicians can't understand the technology. He even complains about not having skilled people to fix his own ships. It's ironic, isn't it?
Oh, very. The Foundation was supposed to bring about this new era, but they're facing the same problems as the Empire. Lack of skilled people, outdated infrastructure, relying too much on brute force, makes you wonder if they've learned anything from the past.
So if psychohistory can't account for someone like the Mule, what hope does the Foundation have? Is Selden's plan doomed?
That's where the second Foundation comes in. The idea is Selden created this second group as a safeguard, a backup plan for when psychohistory fails. The question is, will it be enough to stop the Mule?
And our protagonists, they're on this desperate quest to find it, risking everything, to find this hidden place of knowledge and power, going to these dangerous territories, evading the Mule's forces, the weight of the galaxy's future on their shoulders.
Think about that journey to the ruins of Trantor, the once great capital of the Empire. It's a reminder of how fleeting power can be, and what's at stake here.
They're searching for answers in the past, trying to find a way to survive the present. But even if they find the second Foundation, how can they be sure it's strong enough to stand against the Mule?
That's the big question. It forces us to think about the nature of power. Is it military strength technology, or is there something more, something psychological?
And we see this reflected in the character's Inbur, the mayor of Terminus. He clings to those traditional forms of power,
Hmm.
obsessed with control as everything falls apart around him.
Then there's Ebling Miss, the psychologist. He represents a different kind of power, understanding the human mind, figuring out how people behave and why. He might be the key to defeating the Mule.
But knowledge alone isn't always enough. Miss struggles to turn his insights into action. He can't overcome the fear that's gripping the Foundation's leaders.
And that brings us back to the Mule. His power is all about manipulating emotions. Fear, doubt, despair. He doesn't just conquer places, he conquers minds, bends them to his will.
It's a terrifying thought. Can the Mule truly be defeated if he can control people's emotions like that?
That's what Asimov wants us to think about. The limits of foresight. Even with Harry Seldon's Psychohistory. If there are forces that can change human behavior, predicting the future becomes much harder, maybe impossible.
And what about the impact on individuals? Captain Han Pritchard. He starts out as this staunch defender of the Foundation, but then he becomes a believer in the Mule's cause. He shows that even the strongest people can be swayed by emotional manipulation.
It really highlights the flaws in Seldon's plan. And in our understanding of what it means to be human, the Mule exposes those vulnerabilities.
And Magnifico the Clown keeps coming back, this walking enigma, harmless on the surface, but there's this hidden power. Maybe even he doesn't understand it.
He can cause death without touching anyone. He's afraid of mental probes. He's connected to the Foundation's underground. It all points to something extraordinary. Could he be the key to understanding the Mule? Maybe even defeating him?
It's fascinating. Magnifico's power seems to come from the same thing the Mule exploits, the human mind. They're like two sides of the same coin, the potential for manipulation and the potential for resistance. So we've got this crumbling Foundation mirroring the very empire it was supposed to replace, a desperate search for a solution, maybe the second Foundation, maybe even this seemingly harmless clown. And over it all is the Mule, this enigmatic figure who's turned Selden's plan upside down. It's a lot to take in.
It is, and that's what makes Asimov's Foundation so powerful. It's not just spaceships and battles, it's these big questions about power, the limits of knowledge, what it means to be human.
Yeah, the Mule really messes with the idea of a predetermined future. If Hari Seldon, with all his calculations, couldn't account for him, does that mean we're all just pawns in a game we don't understand?
That's a question that's been around forever. Free will versus determinism. Chance and chaos. Asimov doesn't give us easy answers, he just presents the problem and lets us grapple with it.
It makes the search for the second Foundation even more important. Maybe it's a different way of shaping the future, one that recognizes the limits of logic, one that embraces human emotion, The good and the bad.
Remember when Beta figures out Magnifico's power? It wasn't the scientists or the politicians. It was someone who saw beyond the surface, someone who recognized the potential in the overlooked.
It's like a reminder, don't underestimate intuition, those flashes of insight. They can lead to breakthroughs that logic can't magnifico. This clown everyone dismisses. He holds a key to understanding the mule.
Hmm.
It makes you wonder, what other hidden potential is out there? What other forces are we missing?
That's the point. The mule with his emotional control, he challenges Selden's plan, but he also shows its adaptability, the second foundation, the resilience of the traders, even a clown with hidden powers. They suggest that even with chaos, there's still hope.
Hope that humanity can find a way through. Harness the power within and outside. To build a future that lives up to Selden's vision.
So as you keep exploring Asimov's foundation, remember, the answers aren't always in the calculations. Sometimes the most profound insights come from unexpected places. Intuition, the whispers that guide us through the unknown.
It's a reminder to look deeper. Question everything. Embrace the unpredictable journey. Because in Asimov's universe, and maybe in our own, the greatest discoveries are often where we least expect them.